Alright guys, I'm going to jump right in. We're watching the new Shang-Chi trailer that has finally been released. I guess this is one of the films that's been pushed back a couple times. It's pretty interesting that we have a trailer for this, but we don't have a trailer for the Eternals yet. Either way, I am super happy to see this. Simu Lau, I'm not quite sure how to pronounce it, but he is Canadian, a star in Kim's Convenience, so represent. We also have Tatiana Maslany, which I'm really excited about, and Iman Vellani. So some Canadian talent definitely showing up in the MCU. We already had Colby Smulders in the Avengers, and I'm sure a couple more. Anyways, as you can see, I am working on some more display stuff. I'm going to be uploading some videos with some character breakdowns, so make sure to comment below who you want to see broken down. Um, what else? I didn't get the Falcon and the Winter Soldier last episode reaction. I've been having some trouble with the uploads, so still working on that. I should have a reaction video for the finale, or at least a breakdown, depending on what I'm allowed to post. So that'll be coming up as well. And then we've got Loki coming up in, I guess, a few weeks. So we'll be breaking that down as well. Anyways, I want to jump right into this trailer here, so let's get going. It's like Kill Bill.
I gave you 10 years to live your life. And where did that get you?
Aquafina.
You walked in my shadow. I trained you. So the most dangerous people in the world couldn't kill you. Son, it's time for you to take your place by my side.
Yes, 10 rings.
That's not going to happen.
Ooh.
You can't outrun who you really are.
Is he gonna duplicate? No, he didn't do it. Okay.
Bugger.
We make a good team.
Wow. Okay, so that looks awesome. But we'll be seeing this. I need to watch this again. I'm so excited for this. All right, folks. So after watching that about 100 times, there's a few things that I wanted to go over from the trailer, starting with the 10 rings, of course. Now, the 10 rings have actually appeared in 183 Marvel comics to date. They are of alien origin and they carry immense power. So they were created by an alien race called the Maculans or Macluans, which we haven't seen yet in the MCU, but I'm wondering if they're going to be introduced in Shang-Chi similar to the way that the Skrulls were in the first Captain Marvel film, or if the origin of the Ten Rings is going to be changed a bit. Obviously, there's 10 of them, so they grant the user a variety of abilities, although I'm kind of confident that they're going to be retconned slightly. Otherwise, the first like half of the film is going to be spent explaining each ring and their powers. Luckily, you guys have me to break them down for you, so you'll get kind of the Cliff Notes or Cole's Notes version. So in no particular order, the first one's the Ice Ring, or sorry, the Ice Blast Ring. That's pretty self-explanatory. We have the Black Light Ring. Don't use that in Peter Quill's Milano. It absorbs light to the point of total darkness, like the Hand of Glory in Harry Potter. We've got the Mento Intensifier. Now that that grants certain psychic abilities to the wearer, like telepathy and such. We have the disintegration blast at number 4. 5 is the electroblast. 6 is a vortex beam, and that uses air to propel the user or to levitate certain objects. We have 7, which is the flame blast, 8, which is the impact blast. So that generates various forms of concussive energy blasts, not to be confused with a laser. Now, think of Scott Summers in the Fox universe, and then ignore everything about it because it's wrong. Now, 9, we've got white light. So that's the opposite of the black light. It allows projection abilities, actually, which we've kind of seen in a more technological fashion with Mysterio in Spider-Man Far From Home. So the user's able to project kind of illusions and as well the obvious like blinding light. The last one at number 10 is the Matter Rearranger. And I saved this one for last because this ring is the closest we get to actual manipulation of water, and that'll make sense in a second. In the comic books, the Mandarin was able to extract water from the air surrounding him, which I think is what's happening actually in a particular shot that we see in the trailer right there. Now, because this looks like water manipulation specifically in this scene, I don't think the Mandarin's actually going to have all 10 of the rings from the get-go. Um, we see actually going back to that, we see Wen Wu and the others in some sort of temple, it looks like. So, although the film's been compared to like a Mortal Kombat style film, with that movie actually coming out this weekend, I think we're going to get a little more. So, I think we might get something along the lines of a hero's quest to maybe track down a couple remaining rings before the Mandarin does, that sort of thing. Um, my other theory is that they're the remaining rings, they are actually being housed in Kunlun. Now, Kunlun gets a bit tricky because canonically speaking, if Danny Rand in the Netflix Iron Fist series, where Shang-Chi was originally meant to appear, was able to access Kunlun, we would have to wait 15 years before it could happen again. So either Shang-Chi's way in the future or the Iron Fist show is being decanonized, if that's a word. Now, the rings in the comic book have traditionally been worn in a certain order on the wearer's hands. As you can see from the trailer, it looks like we're getting more of like a tight-fitting bangle as opposed to like bling on your fingies. Now, a lot of people are comparing these to Wakandan technology. I would like to say that if the alien origins of the Ten Rings are erased and the credit goes to Wakanda, in the first major superhero film with an all Asian cast, I'm going to be pretty disappointed in Disney. Not everything needs to come from Wakanda. Wakanda's great, but I think that, this might be a different community's opportunity to shine. So obviously we can expect to see some new faces in this film, people that we haven't seen in the MCU before, but we actually also have a returning MCU veteran, Michelle Yeoh, who was in the Guardians of the Galaxy 2, I believe just the post-credit scene for Yondu's funeral, where she played the character Alita Ogord. I think there is the potential that we could get another big cameo in the film, maybe Reed Richards or Mephisto. It could happen. Now, before I get into the Michelle Yeoh portion of my breakdown, I wanted to point out something that I noticed in the trailer, and I thought this was just the cutest thing. So, Michelle Yeoh and Aquafina and Ronnie Cheng, two of which appear in this shot just up here, were all in the 2018 film Crazy Rich Asians, which is a great movie. So I'm really hoping that there's some kind of nod or reference to the film. Now, the character that I think Michelle Yeoh is playing was also seen in the trailer. I think it's this woman here in the green dress. And in the top right, you can see a young man, and I think it's actually Wenwu, like a young Wenwu. So I think it might be a flashback. I think the person in the green dress is actually guarding the rings that I mentioned earlier, may not have all been in the possession of Wenwu at the time or the Mandarin at the time. Um, So again, I think it's probably a flashback, but if that doesn't end up being Michelle Yeoh in the green dress, I do think that that character is going to be somebody else from the Shang-Chi comics, and that person is Nightwind, who lives in Kunlun, so it would make sense. And another reason that I think we're going to explore Kunlun is because of the epic lion scene that we saw in the trailer. Now, that instantly, evidently, reminded me of the rhino scene from Black Panther, which was super cool. So that could also be a flashback. There's the possibility for a lot of them, given the variety in costuming and setting that we're seeing here. But again, it's just speculation. Now, obviously, there's a ton to know about the title character Shang-Chi that I'm not going to get into. The character was actually first introduced in 1973, meaning there's 50 years of comic book history for you guys to go through. So I do encourage you to find a local comic book store and support a small business during this pandemic. Let me know if you find anything interesting because I've had some really cool finds in some comic book mystery boxes, and it's always exciting to learn new things. So the other character that I wanted to touch base on is Shang-Chi's sister, and she's being played by Alina Zhang. Now, it was recently revealed in a toy release that she's going to be a combination of two Marvel characters. The first being Shang-Chi's actual sister, the Cursed Lotus, and the other being Sasha Hammer. And the reason I think that is important is because we've actually met Justin Hammer. We've been introduced to Hammer Industries in Iron Man 2, and given that Stark Tech isn't in production like it was in the earlier stages of the MCU, it makes sense that a new tech giant would want to come and take over. So we're looking at AIM or Hammer Industries, possibly even both, that could be setting us up for Don Cheadle's Armor Wars series that was announced at the Disney Expo. So, in the trailer, we're introduced to a character named Ryza Fust, and he has Ryza's Fusts. Now, he is being played by Florian Munteanu. What's interesting about the character is that he has cybernetic enhancement. So does Sasha Hammer in the comic books, which is why I think that there's a bigger connection with Hammer Industries. We haven't seen many of our Earthbound heroes with cybernetic enhancements, with, I guess, the exception sort of with Bucky, I guess, but with Gamora and Nebula as an example, it's to a much higher degree. And I think that introduction to our Earthbound heroes may open up the doors for some really cool characters moving forward. One of my favorite being Yuriko Oyama, or Lady Deathstrike, who's actually known for her cybernetic enhancements and her claws. Um, Now, I'm hoping one day we'll see a comic book accurate version of the character, and with the recent rumors that there could be a Logan Disney Plus series, that would be really, really cool to see. Anyways, that's been my breakdown for the Shang-Chi trailer. Thank you so much for joining me here in the One Plus Den of M. We're all mad here. It's all good.